basically were mainly about I what they had before. I actually read an article about this, so otherwise I wouldn't know this much about it. Is that the guys they got rid of basically um, have, basically haven't got much chance. Would have like no chance of making the playoff rotation at all because they're basically dropped down the rotation like as this year's gone on and can't shoot, and they basically replaced them with guys that are just better shooters and like over a longer period just better shooters and just slightly better in general. And then they're like, so they may well get playoff minutes. These other guys they brought in, like they at least going to compete with spots in the playoff rotation with Milton and Korkmaz and people like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's just such a minor move that it's like it's not one that's going to affect it drastically enough because ultimately their problem is their spacing with their starting five,
Yeah,
and changing that was is never really going to work. I mean, yeah, it seems quite likely they're going to end up doing something really big in the summer because the way they're playing at the moment is just pretty ugly. At the same time, I've written recently, I think they're the team most likely to stop Milwaukee. This is the really weird thing.
yeah,
Is I think if they played a series right now against the Raptors, Celtics, or Heat, they'd probably be underdogs. They'd obviously still be underdogs if they face the Bucks, but I don't think
yeah,
anyone else has got any chance of stopping Giannis. I don't think they're going to even come that close to it, to be honest.
yeah. Yeah, especially with like the Celtics not having a really big guy anymore. Well, they
Yeah,
have big guy, but not they've not got a quality center these days. Uh, yeah, I there was glimpses in one of the games I watched of Embiid and Simmons like working together, but only like a couple of possessions really. Where basically where they're actually passing the ball between each other.
yeah,
That because when one of them manages to get the ball anywhere near the basket, like not even in the paint, but anywhere near the paint, they draw lots of defenders. Then if they can actually manage to pass it to the other one, then you've suddenly got like, that they've got space, or at least they've not got that many defenders near them.
yeah,
Um, but there was a bit of that. I think there's still got to wait to see Embiid actually back like fully healthy with his hand, I guess, and
yeah.
just get his like confidence back. It seems like because it does seem like a mental thing really at the moment
Well, he's
with
probably
him.
he probably is very scared about damaging it again, and then he's in trouble.
Yeah,
But the Eastern Conference is so let's just run down them quickly. Milwaukee didn't make a trade, but they got Marvin Williams, another shooter, in a buyout. The Raptors didn't do anything. The Celtics didn't do anything. The Heat got Iguodala, Crowder, and Solomon Hill. The Sixers got Bucks and Robbins. Bucks. Jesus, it's a long day. Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson, and the Pacers. I don't think did anything unless something's completely slipped my mind. Basically, they're the only ones that are of any interest. Top six. Beyond that, it's going to be probably Orlando and Brooklyn in the other two spots, but I think they might both get swept.
yeah. That should we talk about that Heat trade then a bit because that was an interesting one.
That was sort of the one that got almost the most hype in a way, because the Iguodala story had become bigger than X's and O's. It had become all this Twitter drama between Ja Morant and all of the Grizzlies youngsters, and Steph Curry got involved. The number of
Yeah,
hours on talk shows about Andre Iguodala this year possibly has made him get quite a bit overrated to the point where
yeah,
you'd think they were adding like an all-star.
yeah, yeah. I know it's because there is a reason why the Warriors sort of let him leave. The like he. I mean, as well as the Warriors were sort of knew they weren't going to be great. He just. I mean, last year, he's not really that level of player anymore, is he? He's a role player now, really. He's like a
Well, it
solid
was mainly
defender, but Yeah, go on.
They mainly needed because they needed the salary, but I think they also, I mean, his body was struggling to the latter end of the playoffs, and the
Yeah,
number of minutes you can get out of him is pretty limited. Um, he's a good playmaker and still has like great instincts defensively. The health thing, I think, really isn't made enough of. Someone said, I think it might have even been Pat Riley, said something about he's 36. Look at LeBron, and it's like, well, that is just silly, isn't it? That's silly
yeah,
logic. I mean, okay, that's like, yeah, I did 5 keepy-uppies. I bet Lionel Messi can do 5 keepy-uppies. That it's just some sort of strange equivalence going on there.
yeah, yeah. There's a reason why. Yeah, like people say, look at LeBron, look how amazing it is that he's hardly had any injuries, and he's 36. It's like, yeah, because he's done it, so that means everyone must be able to do it. Sort of logic. Which is
Yeah,
like, well, no, if everyone could do it, that wouldn't be impressive. The
I
fact
think
that he's done it.
muddled
Yeah.
is the nicest thing to say about that.
Solomon Hill and Jay Crowder, though, are like decent additions. I mean, Solomon Hill's not amazing, but he's a shooter, isn't he?
Yeah, he at least is going to shoot a lot. Jay Crowder has a reputation as a shooter, doesn't actually shoot at all, so it's really strange. I
No, or
looked
well,
into
at
this
least
a bit the other day.
doesn't
He
actually make the shots. He attempts quite
yeah,
a
he
few.
had.
He's been attempting like 6 a game over the last like 3 seasons.
There
But
is a thing though, I guess, with spacing. This is part of it. Just
yeah,
to briefly mention about Simmons again, is some of it is if he shot at Crowder's percentages, it would help the
yeah,
Sixers. I know he
yeah.
missed a lot of shots,
He,
but
even though he's not necessarily him, he's not necessarily scoring loads of points from 3 pointers. The fact that he takes a lot and scores enough of them, like he's like over 30%, comfortably over 30%.
not this year. He's not.
No, this year he's not.
It's
But I mean,
29.3.
for his career, I mean,
Yeah,
is what I mean. Because I mean, the same way that with Marcus Morris, you expect him to go down. The fact that he's 29.3, but his career numbers are higher. I mean, it's not that unreasonable to think that he's likely that he'll do better than that for the rest of the season. Um, but basically, the fact that that you're not completely terrible at them and you shoot a lot, that's sort of all you need to give you the spacing, isn't it? People aren't just going to leave him to have open looks.
yeah. The concern with the two, though, um, this is Crowder and Hill, is ESPN's defensive real plus minus has them as two of the worst defensive small forwards in the league.
Oh dear.
Crowder's got
Yes.
a reputation as a really good defender, and he's a tough guy, and all the stuff that Kendrick Perkins waffles on about. He loved to trade. Make of that what you will. But that is a bit of a concern. I mean, obviously, there's people have different amounts of faith in advanced basketball numbers like that. But that's pretty alarming that they're both that bad.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess they might be starting much. But Jay Crowder, you would have thought, will get quite a bit of minutes.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
he's sort of like you said, he's got like a good reputation, hasn't he? But basically they're two like highest volume three point shooters, isn't it? It's sort of the classic thing that people do. Trades like playoff teams, trades they go for.
yeah. I think the thing with this is obviously cool that they did it without giving up any draft assets, partly because they couldn't. Um, that I think they would have had to give up even more, and they had to remove protections on one of their own picks if they were going to get Gallinari, which did just seem almost impossible. And they had to take Gallinari on with a contract that would have taken up 21 cap space. So I completely understand why they didn't end up doing that. It has almost become a cliche to say, wouldn't it have been cool if they'd added Gallinari? But that's kind of how I feel about this trade. Is I'm not sure this moves the needle for them drastically. Iguodala is a nice ad. Crowder could be thing, but there's also a chance from all the stuff we've just spoken about. What if he doesn't shoot any better than this? Then it is suddenly a lot of missed shots in the playoffs, and the
Yeah,
defensive stuff isn't pretty. There is a possibility that like they get to this postseason, actually those guys aren't playing that many minutes for them. I suspect Iguodala will play a decent amount, but
Yeah, if he's
I'm
fit,
not
he'll be
100%
playing
on
quite
his.
a bit, I think.
But then you're always going to be worried about overtaxing him when
Yeah,
he gets injured, um, which is
Al-
that's fine. I mean, Kawhi Leonard lives like that, but we're talking like this could be like they can only play him like 10 or 15 minutes a
yeah.
night.
Also, him taking up 15 million next season, I'm not sure I like that much. It's
No,
sort of like,
I don't know what their cap situation was. I don't know if they could have spent that money anywhere else or not.
no, I don't either. But I mean, it's going to take up some cap room, isn't it?
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah,
this,
of course, but it's whether they could have spent it anyway if it was.
yeah.
I
And also, he hadn't played. Like you're saying, is he was struggling like towards the end of last season and stuff. The fact he's not played this year, like at all, it's sort of quite a high risk trade when you're taking on this year's money and then but mainly like the money for next year, especially when the Heat are like overperforming, performing
I
better than
think
people were expecting. Next summer is sort of the time when it's like, people now consider them good again, and you can try and add stuff. But like if he's like for all they knew when they're trading for him, I mean, he played one game. I think he did okay, but like he's just not at it anymore.
yeah, I am a bit worried of that as the look. He did a brilliant PR job on himself. He was in the media quite a lot, wasn't he?
Yeah,
This Memphis agreement they came to, while it has been misrepresented at points, it was basically they said he didn't want to play for them, and they said, okay, fine, don't turn up.
yeah,
They kind of agreed, but it was, I don't know, I I feel like overrated is such a loaded word. I don't really want to say overrated because that feels unfair. He still is potentially very, very helpful. But even this trade, like they gave up Justice Winslow, who's been injured, so they didn't actually weaken their team for this year. But Winslow was an asset for
yeah,
either a future trade
yeah. He
or
was
he could become
one of
good.
their young guys, wasn't he? One of their like before they got Jimmy Butler. Basically, it was like at least they've got these young players, and he was one
Yeah,
of
he was meant
those.
to be part of the core. And maybe they know he's cool and he's not really ever going to be fit enough to play or whatever. But they did give up actual stuff for Iguodala. I saw a lot of the response being that it was a complete steal, and it was because they didn't give up draft assets. But
Yeah, well,
Winslow is a high
yeah.
reputation young player with
It's
a
basically
pretty interesting skill
the
set.
players they gave up weren't performing this season, but
Yeah,
it's like they are still valuable players. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
it's a bit
presumably.
that came about because there was just a fixation on who's going to get Iguodala, and it's like everyone just bought into that.
Yeah,
You would have thought that, like the impact of him is he's obviously very, very good and in a certain role can be extremely useful. But the way that he was talked about in his potential impact, would have thought they were adding, like I said, like a real like borderline all-star kind of player. We were adding a veteran with loads of experience and a really good defender,
yeah,
but he's not like a knockdown three-point shooter as well or anything. He's an okay-ish shooter who
yeah.
can
I
play
guess.
make. But I don't know. I don't think it changes where I've got Miami. I think the teams that are behind Milwaukee, all of that five, it wouldn't surprise me if any of them ended up playing Milwaukee in the conference finals. I think they're all pretty level.
Yeah, I've I think I have the Raptors to be honest better than most of them. Still,
Yeah, yeah. I
it's
think I might have them just above the rest.
yeah. I really like the Raptors actually. I've decided I like the Raptors like I did last year when they Kawhi Leonard, and I might like them even more now. Because watching I watched a Raptors game the other day as well, and Siakam is he's seriously good now, isn't he? Like
Yeah,
basically the question was when like Kawhi left, is like, oh, Siakam's had this breakout year, but can he actually like step up and become like the star? And it's like, I mean, not just his like just physical dominance he has and his shooting ability, but it was so many times he was like in the post or something, posting up, and they double team him, and he manages to find the free man. It's like it was his playmaking really that I found really impressive. That I don't know. I've not really ever thought of him as a particularly like amazing